Hey guys, what's up? I've gotten some emails in the last, week or so, all asking the same question, which is essentially this. Hey Brian, I just booked my very first wedding reception and I don't know what to do. How do you DJ a wedding? My first reaction to this question is anger. So the last thing I wanted to do was shoot a video right after reading those emails. I thought, let's wait a day or two, collect our thoughts, shoot a video, and that's what I'm doing. So the first half of this video, what I'm going to do is give you the answer that you probably want to hear. And then in the second half of this video, I'm going to explain my anger a little bit, might actually talk about how you should really go about doing your first wedding reception. But first, the answer that you want to hear. The first thing you're going to want to do is figure out what your client wants to hear at their wedding reception. Now, let's assume that you're not starting from scratch. Let's assume you have a mobile DJ system and you have done parties before and you do have somewhat of a music library together. You should look at the Mobile Beat Top 200. It's a comprehensive list put together from DJs all over the United States of some of the most requested songs at wedding receptions. Have a look at this list and make sure you have most of these tracks in your library. And if you don't have them, get them by either legally downloading them, depending on what your laws are where you live, and maybe even going out and buying hard copies of these tracks. Also make sure that you get clean versions of these tracks because you usually don't want F-bombs dropped at wedding receptions. It's usually a no-no. You're playing for a variety of people from 7 to 70, so take care of them and give them some respect by not playing music that is unedited. You also may want to look into picking up a mobile DJ only music service like Promo Only, Top Hits USA, or Prime Cuts. I use Top Hits USA and Prime Cuts. They're a monthly service that you can get. Now the prices range anywhere from $150 a year upwards to $60 plus a month, depending on what service that you end up with and how comprehensive you want to go with it. The good news is all this music is clean and perfectly acceptable for radio play, so it's going to be fine for a wedding reception. If there are songs with questionable lyrics in them or questionable content, I guess is what I want to say, they'll tell you that in the tags of the songs or on the sleeve itself, depending on what service you go with. And you might want to also think about buying a back catalog of whatever music service you pick. Maybe you want to go back a year or two and buy all of those back catalog CDs or DVDs and then subscribe for the next year on top of that so you make sure you stay current. Yes, it's expensive, but this business is expensive, and that's why DJing isn't free. So the other thing you're going to want to do is realize that there are several different ways this wedding reception could go. They could just say, hey, just get up there and play some funky tunes for us all night. Or alternately, they may want to go ahead and have you do some actual emceeing at this event and organizing of activities and formalities. Some formalities include, but not limited to, the first dance of the night, grand march, grand entrance, father-daughter dance, mother-son dance, garter removal, bouquet toss, garter toss, and there are several others as well. That's just a starter for you. They may want you to take care of this stuff for them, MC it, build a timeline for them in the evening. And if you're looking for advice on how to do that, you may want to take a look at a whole bunch of YouTube videos that a lot of guys have put together on this exact thing. You may have to use the microphone quite a bit, so be prepared for that. You're going to probably use the microphone more at a wedding reception than you would, say, at an 18th birthday party or definitely a nightclub. Sometimes at the nightclub, you don't turn on the mic at all night until you say last call at the bar. Sometimes you don't even do that. So there's a lot of mic work involved. There's a lot of planning of the activities and formalities that you may have to do. Find out what your client wants and try to put together a timeline for them and an activity list for them that works for them. Make sure you dress appropriately. You may want to ask your client, is this casual? Is it formal? If you've been doing this for a while, you don't usually have to ask this question. You can kind of figure it out and suss it out for yourself. Sometimes a polo shirt is completely acceptable. Sometimes you need to wear a shirt and tie. Other times a suit might be acceptable. I don't do the tuxedo thing. I think that's cheesy, and I try to stay away from cheese whenever possible. Can't avoid it with the music sometimes because, yeah, people like cheese music. But, yeah, I mean, maybe they want a tux. I don't know. But most DJs now, most contemporary DJs, stay away from the tuxedo. So, dress appropriately, show up early, get there and make sure everything's set up right, and do your best. Take requests, and remember, talk to your client about a timeline for the evening. It's my best advice for you. If you're doing your first wedding reception, if you follow those things, you should be able to pull it off. Well, I don't know. How well you can pull it off is really kind of up to you, how prepared you really are for this. So there's explanation number one. Now let's talk about my anger a little bit. Why does it make me angry when I get this question? I'll tell you why. And to do this, I got to give you some history. Oh, and by the way, if you've heard what you want to hear and you don't want to listen anymore, practice and enjoy. Turn this video off and, I don't know, go look at something else. Go watch TV or The Simpsons or something. My anger comes from working very hard along with several other DJs out there to legitimize the mobile DJ in a wedding setting. Now, and this is how I see it, by the way. A lot of people may see it differently. Long ago, before my time, 1970s, before my time as a DJ, I was alive, there were a lot of bands out there who pretty much did what we're doing right now. And the bands consisted of several members. Usually you had a lead singer, bass player, guitar player, drummer, minimum 4 guys, sometimes 5, sometimes more. Really just depended on what the band lineup was. And they would go out and they would do wedding receptions. There was always somebody in the band who was experienced with wedding receptions, usually the front man. Maybe they'd bring on the bass player, maybe it was his first gig. Didn't really matter, he was playing bass. As long as he could play the songs, it didn't really matter if he was experienced with weddings or not. But there were problems with bands. Some of the problems were that all of these guys had to split up a little bit of money. Back then, maybe they only made $500-600 a gig, maybe not even that. They had to maintain their own equipment, haul up there, set it up, jam all night, and then split up a tiny bit of money amongst all of them. The other problems bands had were there were maybe members of the band who weren't always completely dependable. If you've got to depend on 3 to 4 other guys for your livelihood, you know, that's a little scary. Let's say the guitar player has a bit of a drug habit and he gets locked up for drunk, or for some reason he gets locked up or busted. You're out a guitar player, you got to scramble to get a guitar player. Or let's say that your drummer gets a divorce and he's just destroyed, and you're like, come on, we got to do business here. You don't have a drummer though, you got to scramble to find a drummer. A lot of guys, especially the frontmen in these bands, decided, you know what, this is crap. I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to go out, I'm going to collect the music on record, buy some turntables. I've already owned the PA system. I already own some lights. I'm going to just start DJing these things. I already know how to take care of all the formalities, and yeah, well, I'm going to do this. It's going to be good for me. I'm going to take all the money and keep it for myself. Maybe I'll bring Bob, my bass player, who's been just a loyal, good guy, and he'll be my assistant. He'll help me carry things, and we can kind of play off each other back and forth, and it might be fun. I think that's kind of how it was born. That's how it seems to have been born in my part of the country. And I learned from a lot of these guys who were former frontmen of bands, and man, I mean, talk about performers. And they were performers. The problem with this was that you still had bands out there who maybe were solid, and they were looking at the DJ as a cheap alternative to the band. Like if you couldn't afford a band, you got a DJ. Unfortunately, I think I still struggle with this with my agent. I think my agent sometimes, or one of the agents at the agency sometimes, feels like the DJ is like the booby prize. If you can't get a band, then alright, here's a DJ, it's less money. We've worked very hard to show people that we weren't just a cheap alternative to bands. That we were real performers, and we had something to offer that the bands didn't. No breaks. And we were usually set up a lot faster, using less space. We didn't have to be as loud. A lot of good things about DJs. Now, there are bands out there who do fantastic jobs at what they do. I'm not bad-mouthing bands. I love bands. Not all bands are great. And bands aren't for everyone, especially with the music that's out there. I don't know what, the last 20, 30 years, a band can't always pull off these songs right. Sometimes they can, but not a lot of bands. We can do a variety of music. We can do essentially any kind of music. It doesn't really matter. And we can do it real loud or real quiet. And we don't take breaks, and we're good value. But it's taken a lot of years to get there. And we've worked very hard, all of us out there who have been in this game for a long time have worked so hard to show everybody that we are legitimate and we have something to offer. And now it's come full circle where people are going to Guitar Center, or they're going online to their Sam Ash or whoever, ordering up gear, downloading tunes off the internet, illegally sometimes, and putting up some advertisement either via website or flyers in their community. Dodge City's premier DJ service is here to offer you the best entertainment and weddings and blah blah blah, when they don't do any of that. They've never done it before. They're talking the talk, they can't walk the walk. They go to these gigs, and although they may have potential to be good DJs, they have no clue what it is to be a DJ. Really, they think they do. They've watched some videos, maybe they've read a book or two, but they have no practical experience, and if they fuck up, then it makes the industry look bad. All this hard work that so many of us have put into this, all the training we've gotten from almost like going to college, working for that multi-op system, and we hated that guy. He was a cocksucker. He didn't pay us anything. We were out as an assistant to these guys, and some of them were really good, some of them were really bad, and we saw the bad stuff and we said, we don't want to be like that guy. And then we saw the good stuff and we said, we want to be more like that guy. And we learned from so many different people. We worked for several multi-ops and took the good stuff, left the bad stuff, and came into our own as DJs. Instead of going out, buying gear, downloading music illegally, or even legally, it doesn't really matter, and going out and calling ourselves a professional DJ. That's why it makes me angry. And this is where the whole hack thing comes in. If you don't know what you're doing, even if you have potential, if you don't know what you're doing, you're a hack. And you're hacking up our image. Man, you know, the other thing that has been there, I mean, like a big rubber nose, big rubber, like clown red nose on my face of the industry, or on the face of the industry, I should say, are the cheese DJs. These guys who go out there, no offense to the overweight, but oh my god, if you're a big guy in a tux, and a mustache, and you do a lot of YMCA and a lot of props, and man, that just does not make us look good. Okay, I'm not suggesting that I'm hot, attractive, or anything else. I am suggesting that I don't look like a circus clown behind the booth. That's not my style. And I think that's what the public perception has been for mobile DJs for a long time. Maybe this is relevant, maybe it isn't. But man, I mean, there are people out there who have worked hard to improve just the image of the DJ. Even if they're a legitimate form of entertainment. Even if we can say, alright, fine, we find this entertaining, we do see value in this, we do understand that this is, for us, a better option than a band, it hasn't always been cool. I'm trying to make it cool. There are a lot of guys out there who are trying to make it cool. I don't know. It's been a lot of hard work, man. I mean, I feel like we have forged the trail. The people before me even were doing it. I took the torch 20 years ago, over 20 years ago, and started plowing down that trail myself and busting out as much brush as I could and clearing a wide enough path so we could all call ourselves, dare I say, artists, entertainers, without having to hold our head low or be embarrassed to tell people we were a mobile DJ for a living. I don't know, man. Please don't go out there and fuck it up. Please don't go out there and misrepresent us. If you don't have the experience, man, go out and get it before you book any more wedding receptions, please. It just makes us look bad. And for every DJ who's out there doing hatchet jobs of wedding receptions, it's just going to lower the bar, make it harder for DJs to make a living. You may say to yourself, well, you know what, Brian? Who cares? I need to make some money. I need to make it now. I don't really give a shit about your cause. I'm going to go out and I'm going to make $300 right now as a wedding DJ. Great. Think about the long-term residual on this. You're going to eventually want to make more money, aren't you? You're going to find that really hard to do if you've tarnished your image and there are a lot of people around you making us look bad as well. Wouldn't it make more sense to do it right, to get your training, and then go out and instead of asking for $300, ask for $700, $1,000? It depends on what market you're in, man. People can make a lot of money at this, but we can't do it if we look like shit. So please don't make us look like shit. And good luck with your first wedding. You could have all the potential in the world, and maybe you can pull it off. And if you can, good for you. When I was doing the multi-op services, I worked for one company for 2 years, which was too long. Probably about 6 months too long at that company, to be honest with you. I did get a lot out of it. It was a revolving door. There were 20 plus mobile systems at this company. And there were 2 people on every mobile system. Now the way they sold it to the public was, well, a 2-person, or 2-man is what they call it, a 2-man DJ show package is much more entertaining than one DJ. The truth was, there was always a key DJ who was the one who had some experience. It doesn't matter if it was 3 months experience or 3 years experience, had some experience. There was always the guy in training behind him who was watching and learning. That's what was really going on. And the gear was so damn heavy that sometimes one DJ couldn't carry it. That was the reality of it. Once the gear got light, and I knew what I was doing, I knew that I did not have to hire assistants. The only time I had assistants is when I had like broken hands or something, or maybe I was doing a gig where an assistant was completely legitimate to bring in, like a 700 kid school dance or something like that, where you need a little crowd control, somebody take requests while you're spinning, get in and out quick, whatever. My point is that it was a revolving door of DJs coming in, getting training, and then leaving because they just found out that this was not for them. They couldn't hack it. And not everyone can hack it. That's what blows my mind about people going out there and just buying gear and deciding to be DJs without having any real experience as to what it is to be a DJ, besides watching YouTube videos. And I'm glad I inspire people. It's not that. I mean, I didn't start doing these videos to hatch new DJs. I started doing these videos thinking I was going to reach out to people just like me and say to them, hey, I know what you're going through, and I understand that you're all alone out there. Here's some stuff that I have to offer you, and maybe in turn you could do some videos and give me something. That has happened over time. But the byproduct is we've got a lot of young, I mean, I got an email from an 11-year-old kid today. I mean, they're getting young, wanting to get into this. We're inspiring, that's great. But just understand who you are and where you're at and what you really need to do it right. So that's it. I'll stop babbling. If you stayed for this part of the video, God bless you. And we'll see you real soon. Practice and enjoy. Leave your comments down here as always.